Let's talk about the GROW model. A lot of coaches or leaders or learners from across different organizations in different countries have heard about this thing. Hey, when you think about coaching, they think about GROW, they think about the GROW model. What exactly is this GROW model? Well, in this video series, I'm going to share with you and break down an overview of what the GROW model is all about, what it is, its origin, and how you can use the GROW model in your coaching practice. Now, in all models, there are elements where I'm going to highlight when it's the best time to use, when it's most effective. And also, I want to invite you to consider in your own context, how would you like to modify? How would you like to use them and apply them critically? Or think about how you want to use them effectively in your own context. The GROW model is widely used or widely acknowledged around the world and has been such a powerful model or coaching process to help coaches to begin the learning journey. And so, what I'm going to begin in this series is to help you gain a deeper understanding of the model itself. Now, GROW, GROW, stands for goal, reality, options, or will. And sometimes we use the word way forward. It's a conversational navigation framework that is most commonly used across leadership, communication skills, active listening skills, powerful questioning, performance development, a lot in organization and business or leadership contexts. And many coaches are exposed to GROW model at earlier stage, or leaders to develop what we call coach-like leadership. But too often, many times that they are wrongly taught about what the GROW model is all about, and they have had a misunderstanding of what GROW is. In fact, today, when I see GROW being taught, I see GROW being memorized as a set of questions to ask, and we lose the essence of what GROW really is. So I'm going to help you break down, demystify GROW, and hopefully in this 10 minutes to give you a better understanding of what GROW is all about. The GROW, in essence, is moving the conversation from intention, where we want to go, building that sense of awareness, bringing to the forefront the choices for the individual, and allowing them to make a choice to take the action forward, and then reviewing that all over again. So we start with intention. Where's the direction we're heading towards? What's the outcome? What's the objective? What's the focus? What's the goal? Bringing to awareness of what's happening, bring clarity there so that you can make choices that will best support and most align or most congruent towards where you want to be. The GROW, it's not just a tool or technique, it's a model. And to help you understand what model is, it's a way of navigating a conversation. Think about model as a map. When I say different models, there's GROW model. In fact, in my class, I teach the co-creative model, I teach the lead model, I teach the eclectic model. There are different models, or the Mizu model, or the Ikigai model as well. The different models that I teach in class represents a different map of the world, or different map of orienting the coaching conversation, or how we can navigate the coaching conversation. There are different considerations and in play as well. So when we think about a model, think about it as navigating a conversation. So the GROW model is a very basic or fundamental way of navigating a typical coaching conversation. So it's not a script, it's not a checklist, it's not starting with G, then we go R. It's not a rigid sequence, and that's a key element here. So think about this tree. It's not rigid, it's not a fixed set of questions, it's not a checklist, it's not a rigid sequence. It shows direction, not instructions. And that's something important that I want all coaches to kind of know and leaders to know as well. That when learning GROW model, it's not what's the best thing to do, what's the best question. If you think about what's the best question or the right question, then your premise or your understanding of the model is wrong. Model, it's about setting the direction, give you a map, idea of how to move forward. It shows a rough direction and helps you navigate better. Okay, so now let's go deeper. GROW was kind of developed in the early, in about 50 years ago, right? Where it first began in the space where Sir John Whitmore, came across this idea with Timothy Galway on inner game of tennis, and during that whole process, you see, hey, it's kind of interesting, right? Where individuals can improve their performance when there is a certain process of bringing them through, helping them gain clarity, helping them gain that thing, and so. What happened in the earlier years of GROW was John Whitmore, together with Graham Alexander and Alan Fine, they came together and developed what we call today as performance coaching, or the GROW model, or GROW coaching. And this sequence wasn't GROW. It was, in essence, a codification of the work of Timothy Galway when they were observing how he kind of coached his team. how he used coaching in the space of tennis, and John and his friends and his colleagues as well worked deeper. And it was until Max Landsberg who said, "Hey, you know what? I think there's a sequence we can make it clearer to teach more people about this process." And it was then that it was attributed to Max or credited to Max that GROW was formulated. And so later on, we began to come across a lot of different books and publications about GROW. It was largely thanks to Max, whose work actually helps us to codify in a very simple acronym, GROW. But with the acronym, sometimes it comes a little, when individuals may have misunderstood the acronyms of its intention earlier stage. So I'm going to break down a little more detail in all this. It came from this idea where performance improves not by more instruction, not by giving you more rules, not by giving you more to-do list, but by bringing greater awareness so that you can make better choices. If I force awareness on you, whose awareness is it? It's my awareness. You're not aware yet. The awareness is forced upon you. So what happens in the coaching process is to bring to the forefront of awareness, allowing you to make better choices. So Timothy Galway's insight was that interference, not ignorance, is the biggest obstacle to performance. So he says this: remove the interference, performance will increase. But how we do that? We do that by raising greater awareness for the individual, bringing greater clarity, so that in enabling the individual to make better choices in those moments, in the heat of the game, in that moment where they have to make a choice without time to think. So the philosophy of grow was shaped with the idea intention that, hey, I want to bring greater awareness to the individual so that they have more choices and take more ownership and responsibility in their own course of action. So allowing the individual to own their outcome, their choice. So it's client-led, not coach-led, client-centered, not coach-centered, and allowing and supporting the client the best way possible. So I like this spirit here. So grow, or the core philosophy behind grow, it's that people are capable. People are capable. They have the resources within them. Awareness precedes choice. For people to make the best choice, they need to raise awareness. They need to gain more awareness. Otherwise, how do they make the best informed choice? And ownership creates commitment. So if I want people to take more responsibility, want commitment, I need them to own. I need them to own the outcome, the goals, the actions that they want to take. So the ownership is important. Ownership creates commitment. And this also strongly aligns to, if you come across adult learning theory, andragogy, hortagogy, pedagogy, you will learn a lot about these things in adult learning theories as well, about ownership, habit change, humanistic psychology, even modern coaching ethics as well. Okay, so I'm going to break this down in greater detail for you to see GROW. We're going to go to each one of this phase to help you get a sense of get a better understanding of each one of these phases of the grow model. And each one of these phases, I'm going to share with prompts. Prompts doesn't refer to questions alone, but it refers to how do you think about crafting those questions? How do you think about crafting those response with the client? So think about this. The first letter G, go. It's about setting the direction before movement. The purpose of go, or G, is to establish a direction of the conversation where we want to head towards, so that the conversation doesn't go in multiple directions, so that we stay focused, so it stays aligned, and clarify what matters now to the individual. There are many competing goals. How do we allow the individual to say, hey, you know what, this is the focus goal. This is the goal that we want to kind of align towards. This is something that we want it now, right? There are many goals at different levels. It can be high. It could be goals that may extend beyond a year, or 2 years, 10-year goal. But we want to help establish what is meaningful to the individual today. So that's the purpose of the G. Think about it in terms of what a question sets to think about or to ask the client. When you think about the questions, think about what's the desired outcome. What's the focus? How do we narrow the scope of the conversation from the macro level to something that we can work on in the conversation? What are some success criteria, so that the client will step away or walk away with something powerful for them? So the mindset that we're taking in the G phase, it's, am I helping the client clarify what they want now, today, or am I assuming it? Am I leading the outcome, or am I allowing the client to lead the outcome? Am I giving the client space to set the direction of conversation, or am I directing the conversation? So think about this direction. So direction before movement. The next letter, okay, it's what we call R, reality, seeing clearly without judgment. So with no, we uphold or we behold any sense of judgment, building accurate awareness of the current state of reality for the client, raising the facts, cognitive facts, the what the client sees as patterns, emotions, behaviors, constraints, resources, barriers, obstacles, helping to bring to awareness what that is for the client. So some of the prompts that you can think about is what is happening now for the client, what is influencing the situation, what's happening for the client, what has the client tried or not tried, what is the struggles for the client? What does the client perceive as that challenge or as that obstacle that if the client can overcome would create a greater will create that outcome that they desire. So the common pitfall here is that we jump too fast into solutions too early at this stage here. So the R. The next one is O, options, expanding choices for the client. So the purpose of O is to generate more possibilities from the awareness that's built, helping them to loosen that fixed way of thinking or fixed way of connecting certain ideas and thoughts in their minds and encourage creative agency. I like that so much. Oh, it's all about encouraging creative agency, allowing the individual to say, hey, you know what, perhaps we could consider it from this way. Perhaps we could come from this direction, creating more options for the person. So the prompts could be, what could be done here? What else have I not tried? What alternatives exist? What if? And what would it look like if the constraints were removed? What would it look like if you had more support, more resources here? So options are about possibilities, not commitment. So here we're just opening up the space for allowing the client to expand creatively all the different possibilities. And W, the will and the way forward. Here, I like to use the word will because the word will connotes the sense of the compunction, the verve, the energy that's coming from the client. Say, hey, I want to do this. Not, do I have to do this? Or I must do this, but I want to do this. I want to hear in their voice, in their own sound that, hey, I want it. This is what I want. And it's where we transform insights into actioning. So the purpose of W is to translate that awareness, those insights into actioning, building a sense of commitment and accountability in the process. And the prompt thinking is to think about, what are you going to do with all this? How would you want to move forward? What will you do? What is that small step you like to take? What support is needed? So these are prompts you help the client to think about. How do I move forward in this? Here, the distinction is action is not pressure. I'm not pressuring the client. Do more. Action is a choice, a chosen movement by the client. So the actions is the agency of the client, letting the client decide how they like to move forward, how do you like to commit. And I may challenge the client and say, hey, how would you like to commit yourself in this? And I may call out when I notice the client, may not be really stretching themselves, or maybe they are at their 70%, but they could be at 80%. So here the will and the way forward is critical, wrapping the whole conversation up. So you have GROW, where it helps the client to move through the whole conversation in a performative manner. Now, grow works best when it's for performance coaching. There's a certain performance outcome that we're looking for, helping the client to gain goal clarity. Or leadership development, where we have different leadership behavior skill sets they want to develop, or leadership competencies they want to develop. And grow also works best sometimes for your performance appraisal, career development, transition, building skills, habits, formation for the individual as well. So grow works best during those times. When it's least effective, it's when we become too rigid, right? And sometimes when we face with eclectic coaching, where we have a different tools, models, techniques that we need to bring in to really support an individual, we may have to go beyond just the procedural way of GROW. We may have to consider the complex, nuanced context of the client as well. Sometimes we may encounter clients who may have to work with certain deep traumas, or they have certain moments where it's highly emotional, or just exploration without any sense of grounding, where it may be more nuanced, more complex than just a standard performative way of GRW. So notice that, yes, there are many different coaching models out there. It doesn't mean that every model will fit every single context, as the role of the coach is first understanding a typical process of coaching, what a typical process of coaching looks like, and how do I apply the best approach for the client. So that's client-led. Grow is not a compass, it's a compass, but not a cure-all. It doesn't aims to cure everything, but it's a way to navigate a conversation to help the client more effectively. Okay. Now, one of the things when we think about grow as a wrap up is that coaching at its fundamental core is to change life. Coaching isn't a model or fixed way of thinking, it's about co creation. It's about making a change one conversation at a time. So whether you're learning grow coaching, or even in my class where I teach co-creative coaching about partnering with the client, going deeper, deep inner work with the client, lead coaching or ikigai coaching, it's all about client-centeredness. It's about partnering the client. It's not about forcing something on the client, but it's about allowing the client to go deeper within themselves. And coaching at its core, it's about not about me as a coach. It's about the client, helping the client to grow together. So I like this idea that, hey, we're growing on this journey together. We're learning. And my lens as a coach here is always as a learner. And I'm always excited to partner with you to explore the possibilities with you as a coach. In my subsequent videos, what I'm going to do, I'm going to break down the GROW in greater detail, giving you examples of questions that you can ask, of how you can practice this grow. Because I believe that, as a coach, whether you're being a professional coach or internal coach, or perhaps you want to build a coach-like leadership in your own organization, which I've done for many organizations as well, what I do is I take time, run a simple workshop, a simple class for them. They may not need a full-on coaching certification, but they need to learn the principles of coaching, understanding the different bite size, helping them to understand the different skill sets and process where they can take it immediately and develop the culture of coaching. So if you're interested in developing your organization coaching culture, or if you're interested to find out, hey, how do I develop leadership in a more coach-like manner? Right? You can reach out to me and I'll be happy to engage with you and partner with you in your organization to help you develop a greater sense of coaching and helping you to create change that is lasting.